We are taught that your family holiday is about peace, snow, and goodwill. That is a dangerous, sanitized lie. Your fake tree is a repurposed bathroom tool. Your favorite carol is an ode to drag racing, and your seasonal greeting cards were once decorated with dead animals. We are peeling back the tinsel to expose the dark, unhinged, and absolutely bizarre truth. Here are 15 times the Christmas holidays proved our ancestors were completely out of their minds. Get ready to mourn your childhood. Number 1. The artificial tree's dirty secret. You need to brace yourself because your beautiful artificial Christmas tree has an origin story that is criminally unhygienic. The first mass-produced fake trees were not created by a festive genius, but by the Addis Brush Company in the 1930s, a manufacturer chiefly known for making heavy-duty toilet scrubbers. They simply took their massive surplus of stiff animal hair bristles, dyed them green, and ran them through the exact same machines used to create toilet brushes. Your vintage centerpiece is, technically, a giant festive bathroom appliance, perfectly engineered to scrub porcelain. It's the most aggressive rebranding scam in home decor history. Number 2. The Icelandic fashion police monster. If you think a lump of coal is tough, you haven't met the terrifying Icelandic monster known as the Yule Cat, Jólakötturinn. This is not a fuzzy pet. It's a giant, bloodthirsty beast that stalks the countryside on Christmas Eve with a specific murderous appetite. Legend states this feline eats anyone who has not received new clothes for Christmas. It was a psychological terror weapon invented by medieval farmers to force their workers to finish the autumn wool harvest faster. If you were lazy and failed to finish your spinning work, you didn't get a new shirt, and you became cat food for a giant, fashion-obsessed predator. Number 3. The Feast of the Ass Riot. We typically expect solemn reverence at church services, but in medieval France and Spain, they celebrated the Feast of the Ass, which descended into spectacular disorder. The ceremony, honoring the donkey that carried Mary, required participants to march a live donkey right up to the altar. The climax came when the priest was required to pray a loud hee-haw at the congregation, and the entire church would scream hee-haw back instead of saying amen. This unhinged, braying prayer contest was eventually banned because having a confused farm animal as a guest of honor sent a confusing, chaotic message to the faithful. Number 4. Mistletoe, the poop plant. Nothing screams romance like kissing under a parasitic plant named after bird droppings. The word mistletoe is derived from two Anglo-Saxon words, mistle, meaning dung, and tan, meaning twig. This is because ancient people noticed the plant only sprouted on branches where birds had left their droppings. The plant is spread exclusively through sticky seeds that have passed through a bird's digestive system. Next time you pucker up, remember you are standing underneath a biological monument to avian excrement that is slowly strangling its host tree. Number 5. The West Point Eggnog Mutiny. In 1826, the administration at the prestigious West Point Military Academy made a critical tactical blunder. They banned alcohol from the Christmas party. The cadets, desperate to celebrate, smuggled in gallons of whiskey to fortify their eggnog. This resulted in the infamous Eggnog Riot, a night of absolute pandemonium involving sword fights, smashed windows, pistol shots fired in the hallways, and brutal knockout brawls with superior officers. By morning, a third of the cadets were implicated in the mutiny, proving that nothing is a bigger threat to national security than depriving armed college students of their holiday booze. Number 6. The Victorian Dead Bird Cards. If you find modern Christmas cards generic, you should see what the Victorians considered holiday cheer. Their idea of a sentimental greeting was absolute nightmare fuel. A widely popular design in the 19th century featured a dead robin lying stiffly on its back with its feet in the air, sometimes accompanied by the cheery caption, "May yours be a joyful Christmas." Some thought it was a dark joke about the passing year, but either way, it's incredibly grim. Nothing says happy holidays quite like a stiff, frozen bird corpse delivered to your door. The Victorians were the original goth teenagers, obsessed with death even during the happiest season. Number 7. Cromwell's War on Christmas. We debate the war on Christmas today, but in the 16th century it was a literal war. Cromwell and his Puritan government decided that Christmas was too joyous and therefore illegal. They viewed feasting, drinking, and decorating as pagan disgraces. Parliament passed a law banning the holiday completely for over a decade. Soldiers actually patrolled the streets of London, seizing roast beef from citizens' homes and arresting anyone caught cooking a festive meal or singing a carol. If you were caught eating a mince pie, you were considered an enemy of the state.
Number 8. Childermas, the beating day. If you thought socks were a bad gift, try living in medieval England. They celebrated a horrific tradition on December 28th known as Childermas, or Beating Day. On this morning, parents would drag their children out of bed and beat them with sticks to remind them of the suffering of the innocent children killed by King Herod. The twisted logic was that the physical pain would help the religious lesson stick in their memory. This brings a whole new, aggressive meaning to tough love when your parents wake you up with a physical assault to provide religious context. Number 9. Jingle Bells, the drag racing anthem. You have hummed Jingle Bells 1,000 times, but you are living a lie. The song was never meant for Christmas. It was written in 1857 for a Thanksgiving church service. The original lyrics, titled One Horse Open Sleigh, weren't about family or Santa. They were essentially about 19th century drag racing in the snow, high-speed crashes, and mocking rivals for their slow horses. It's the Fast and Furious of the Victorian era. It only became a Christmas carol because the catchy tune was so popular, people refused to stop singing it after Thanksgiving was over. Number 14. William the Conqueror's Inferno. When William the Conqueror was crowned King of England on Christmas Day in 1066, the event turned into a literal firestorm due to a catastrophic language barrier. When the English nobles inside Westminster Abbey shouted their approval for the new king, the Norman guards outside, who didn't speak English, mistook the cheering for a riot or assassination attempt. In a panic, the guards decided the best response was to set fire to all the houses surrounding the abbey. The congregation rushed out into a smoke-filled chaos of burning buildings and looting. William's reign started with a distinct smell of ashes and terrifying misunderstanding. Number 11. The Choking Hazard Pudding. Modern health and safety would file immediate charges over the traditional Christmas pudding. For centuries, it was standard practice to bake a solid piece of metal directly into the dessert. Families would hide a silver sixpence or a thimble inside the dense cake batter. Tradition dictated that whoever found the object would receive wealth and luck. However, in reality, this was less about fortune and more about the very real risk of chipping a molar or choking to death at the dinner table. Putting small, hard metal objects into a dessert people eat while intoxicated is a perfect recipe for a dental emergency. Number 12. Santa's Original Color Scheme. If you traveled back 150 years, you wouldn't recognize Santa Claus. Before the modern image was standardized, Father Christmas was typically depicted wearing green, brown, or even blue robes to symbolize the ancient spirit of nature and the coming of spring. He was often leaner and sterner than the chubby figure we know today. While Coca-Cola didn't invent the red suit, their massive 20th century marketing campaigns definitely helped kill off the ancient green version, effectively rebranding an ancient folklore figure into the color scheme of a soda can for eternity. Number 13. Candy canes, the child muzzle.
You have a desperate German church choirmaster in Cologne to thank for the invention of the candy cane. In 1670, he was sick of children being noisy and restless during long nativity services. He asked a local candy maker to create white sugar sticks to keep their mouths busy. To justify giving candy in church, he had them bent at the top to resemble a shepherd's crook. This clever marketing spin made the candy religious, allowing him to pacify a room full of screaming toddlers with pure sugar while pretending it was a devout teaching moment. Number 14. Saturnia, the pagan frat party. If you think your office party is wild, it has nothing on the ancient Roman festival of Saturnia, the direct ancestor of many modern traditions. Held in mid-December, this week-long festival was complete controlled chaos, where social norms were overturned. Masters served their slaves dinner, gambling was legal for everyone, and people ran through the streets drinking and screaming. The early church realized they could never stop people from partying this hard, so they strategically placed Christmas right in the middle of it to co-opt the celebration. They essentially took a pagan frat party and rebranded it with a holy title. Number 15. Christmas pudding, the meat sludge. You definitely wouldn't want a slice of the original Christmas pudding because it wasn't a dessert at all. It was a savory, preserved nightmare. In the 14th century, it was a soup called fermenti, made from boiling beef and mutton with raisins, wines, and spices. It was a thick, meat-heavy sludge designed for winter survival, packing maximum calories and preservatives. Over time, the meat was gradually replaced by suet and sugar. Just remember that your sweet holiday treat started its life as a preserved 14th century meat smoothie. We just covered 15 reasons why holiday history was a fever dream, but I know the internet is a darker place than any history book, so I am challenging you in the comments. What is a disturbing or obscure holiday fact that was actually too dark or too weird even for this list? I want to see if you can shock me. Subscribe right now if you want to keep destroying your ignorance.